Monica Lennon, MSP for Central Scotland. Conference, it's a privilege to be closing the debate on investing in Scotland's future. Last May, it was the greatest honour of my life to be elected to the Scottish Parliament as a Scottish Labour MSP. And this was made all the more special when our leader, Kezia Dugdale, created the role of Shadow Minister for Inequalities and asked me to take that on. After nearly 10 years in government, the Scottish National Party has grown the gap between the richest and the poorest children. The government has been so busy boasting that it's stronger for Scotland that it has forgotten all about the day job. Fighting inequality and building a prosperous Scotland where all of us can fulfil our dreams and potential, regardless of where we were born or live, is what drives Scottish Labour. I'm proud of the passionate speeches that we have heard today that reaffirm our commitment to education as the best economic policy a country can pursue. Today, we pay tribute to the teachers, the lecturers and all staff working to support our children and young people and to give our adult learners the opportunity to make the most of their talents. It takes a team to deliver the education system Scotland deserves. We know your job is not easy. We know it is made harder by the cuts to your budgets. As Ian Gray said in opening this debate, cuts that have resulted in over 4,000 fewer teachers in our schools and over 1,000 fewer support staff. Cuts that have caused attainment, retention and funding in further education to fall, alongside broken promises that have led to industrial action in our colleges. Under the SNP, student debts are rising and the underfunding of universities is making it harder for Scottish students to secure places. Opportunities are disappearing and the productivity of our nation lags behind the rest of the UK. With so much to agonise over, you would expect SNP ministers to be struggling to sleep at night. As the motion states, they promised that the college merger programme would improve education and save money. What did it deliver? 150,000 fewer students in Scotland's colleges, not a shred of evidence that any money has been saved at all, and a student support package described by the President of the NUS in Scotland as not fit for purpose. The SNP has let our education sector down. Conference, not for a second can we believe that the driving mission of this SNP government will ever be closing the attainment gap between the richest and the rest. What gets SNP ministers out of bed in the morning is the gap in the polls on the only prize that has ever mattered to them, independence. With that attitude, it's no wonder they've messed up on education. Because of SNP complacency, a vital equality impact assessment of college reforms was never done, and the consequences are unforgivable. An almost 50% reduction in part-time students in college, mostly among women and the over 25s, and not a word of sorry from a government that claims to be committed to advancing gender equality. Conference, I know from experience that education is the greatest investment we can make in our shared future. I was fortunate to be the first in my family to leave school and go straight to university. I was acutely aware that my dad didn't get the same opportunity, nothing to do with ability and everything to do with poverty. As a mature student, he would later take night classes and through part-time study became a respected health and safety professional. Further education gave my dad a second chance, but for too long, those in further education have been the poor relations when it comes to student support. Scottish Labour would ensure that bursaries for those studying in college are fully funded. Conference, Scottish Labour has had to create an inequality spokesperson because this SNP government has no plan to invest in our country's future. No plan to deliver the 650 new nurseries needed to transform childcare. No plan to address the mental health crisis described by the Scottish Youth Parliament as our generation's epidemic. and no plan to reject Tory austerity. Conference, we have a plan to invest in local communities and to get our education system back on track. And there is one promise we won't allow the Scottish Government to break. Fiona Dryborough is right. Young LGBTI people need action. It is time for inclusive education. Nicola Sturgeon, you have pledged your support for the Tide campaign on Twitter. Now do your job, First Minister, and bring forward the legislation you know is needed to protect the well-being and the lives of young LGBTI people. Conference, we have an election to fight. Local government needs progressive, socialist and feminist voices more than ever. Scottish Labour values have transformed our country for the better before, and we will do so again. So friends, as we approach the council elections with Kezia Dugdale as our leader, raise your heads, be proud of who we are, and organise like never before.